Let's go, match point bang ya. Dua sama sekarang skor. Ini dia. Kali ini King Kong masih menggunakan link. Tadi linknya oke-oke aja, nggak terlalu beban. Cuma memang kalah hero bang ya. Kelra pakai Harit. Ini sangat mengerikan bang ya kalau Kelra pakai Harit. Kayak nggak ada itu cooldown skill 2 nya kalau lagi ulti. Licin. Ada Jax. Masih oke kah Jax? Ini Onyx loh.
He was hunting down Kellera very severely in that last one anyway, so let's see if he's gonna have a better time here. Obviously, he's on a very comfortable pick that is a little bit more, a little bit more self-sufficient on this Tariff, so maybe that'll help a lot.
And he does decide to play it safer, picking up the Purify, since the Purify hasn't been much of an option recently for Kellera in the previous games, but that's also taking into consideration the kind of hero he did pick up. But hold on, Edwards?
Yeah, very early on, 2v1 with a Phobius that doesn't really have the...
Hey, Demon Kite datang.
Looks like it's gonna be a trap. It's Demon Kite to the rescue. Might have not used the shadow kill, but will be able to at least get into the fight. King Kong
masih dapat dong.
never used the flicker, and he said, you know what, it's worth it. I'll take that kill.
That was a long drawn-out sequence, an amazing response
Tertalnya
by
lepas kah?
Aurora into an eventual punish, and then a trade-off once more. And the fact that Demon Kite is still on the map makes it worth it for the Northern Lights. A turtle scored by Demon Kite here, not even needing the entry.
So unfortunate for Onyx Philippines. They showed how decisive they actually were in trying to get the advantage, potentially setting up for the first objective of the game. But Demon Kite and his rotation, it was way too fast, and he got the better of Onyx Philippines earlier. And just, this is what we're talking about. Even in the laning phase, Kellera is clearly struggling against Demon Kite.
Complete opposite side of the map. Let's go coast to coast. XP lane, a disaster for Onyx. Gold lane, despite Kellera being on a hero that he has what? A close to 80% win rate on the Harith? He's getting punished hard!
And we're not even at the point of the game where the team fights are happening just yet. This is just Kellera up against Dominkai. What more when you have to think about Yue? What more when you have to think about Dominkai, or Demon Kite rather, because the first rotations have been heavy on the EXP lane. So now you would think that he'd be a lot more free to at least just manage his lane, but that's not what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, we haven't even seen the the Yue Zas Dominator's descent.
Kellera datang.
I'm looking for that. Again, using it for survival, at least for now.
Dikasih Kellera dong itu ya.
He's gonna get caught out here, and the backup is close, but and trying to get close to Kellera. Demon Kite
Langsung
as well.
ulti dia doh.
Demon Kite is dealing with 3 people here. I
Masih
think that's
mati
an
sih.
overall net loss for Aurora. They are able to take Kellera as a consolation prize.
That's a 2-for-1. Renegade and Dominkite for the gold standard. Up top, though, they're able to isolate Edward. I think that's a blessing in disguise for Onyx, the fact that that fight happened without Edward. If there was Edward there, oh my god. You can flip that on its head and say Aurora can take 3 for free.
Yeah, so far it's a really close fight. They're just exchanging blows every now and then, but it isn't entirely a full picture just yet. And we're seeing how Aurora successfully forces out so many things from Onyx Philippines, however. Just even in that previous sequence, Kellera was just forced to use the Purify to get rid of the Shadow, but not even that was enough. He still fell to the hands of Demon Kite.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an easy turtle take here for Aurora with Edward and Renegade this time around. A duo, a tandem up on front.
100% a turtle so far. 4.5 minutes in, going over to the Northern Lights, and I'm afraid to say it, but it seems like King Kong on the Ling has accepted his fate that he's gonna have to play on the back foot despite having 2 kills already to his name this early on.
Masih dapat Kellera
We
dong.
can't let game 4 happen again. Let's throw back to yesterday.
Yeah, and this is very unusual, right? We just talked
Kelomangnya.
about the entire turbo jungling pattern
Yeah.
of King Kong.
And that was what happened yesterday, or what Zaida tried to do, because it was a lineup very similar to what Aurora's fielding, that Falcons got a win in about 11 and a half minutes.
Yeah, so this is complete denial. of
Eh, Hayabuset.
Tried to do something
Whoa.
nasty there, but Brusco was very quick with the answer.
Huh. Fortunately, he was there, so they had a way to directly answer back. But the Dominator's Descent will be able to defend this mid lane turret for Aurora. And Kelra's holding on to the bottom lane as well. Will he really take them on?
Well, Renegade proving to be a very tough target, but with the help of the rest of the squad, you know the old saying, nothing is really, really tough against
Satu orang bos baru
I think that's a Filipino saying, but yeah, you
tewas.
Translated it, I'm sorry, I had to.
It still makes sense. That was literally 4 members of Onyx just trying to puncture the wheel, man. Now the fight continues once more. Edward jumping on the 2. Super Prince pushing them back. Here's the thing is, we talked about how US Dominator's Descent should be the game changer, right? But just Demon Kite being a man possessed, just Aurora all in all being more in sync compared to the Super Fan being more on time, it's letting you as Zask look like it's taken easy. You know,
Yeah.
just like just relaxed and
Yeah. And
Very chill.
honestly, on top of that, it feels like he's almost always in the middle lane. Like, we
Yeah.
haven't been seeing much rotations from him just yet. And it's also probably because by him being in the mid lane, Onyx Philippines get to immediately see
And dia
how
turtle yang
they're
terakhir.
able to force out that Dominator's Descent from Yue. But this is different. He still has it this time, so they can play aggressively if they want to.
Yeah, and has vision with the Nightmaric spawn on the far left, so now they can focus on the right. And Edward is jumping in, trying to get maybe someone to take the fight, but no one's actually biting here for Onyx.
That's a conceal though. Are they going in?
Looks like they are. That's a 2-man knockout from Kirk with Earth Shatter. There goes Primal Rapid. He's gonna get taken out before he even
Demen
can
kayaknya.
let down a single bullet. And now it's gonna be King Kong from the back, or from the side rather, facing off against Renegade Demon Kite, while there's
Kena
also
gocek
a
terus
fight
dia loh.
happening with Yue getting taken out by the this time around Super Prince.
3 for 1. Kirk for Edward Yu and Domin Kite. I think Onyx can smell it in the water. Blood like sharks still circling. Demon Kite and Renegade checking range. King Kong jumping through. No one home for the purple.
Okay, not what I expected,
Alright, there it is.
especially if you were King Kong. Maybe right on time though. Again, Freeman from Onyx just so hell-bent on just pushing them or keeping them under the tower.
Nih,
King Kong
inilah
gets the
saatnya.
purple.
Oh, it's
Onyx
restarting
membalikkan
the
keadaan.
steal.
Oh my goodness, this is
Kelranya
such
udah
a
free farming itu mah.
well-thought plan by Onyx Philippines, because you would have thought that, yeah, the task might be a problem, but aside the fact that we aren't feeling it just yet, Onyx Philippines, now that they're able to group up together, we see the essence of their lineup. We see how they thrive in all those drawn-out team fights just by merely having the Edith, which again earlier didn't last long because that was a sacrifice he willingly took, but the Jushin and the Harith, they're literally making things happen for Onyx Philippines, and Aurora, they're just forced to back away.
These are all parts of Onyx lineup that are very different from TNC's yesterday when a same Zask-centered draft
Yeah.
bodied them. So already we're approaching a very different trajectory. Onyx, very patient. They're taking their time. They're picking their fights. And they've actually gotten a lead of their own. Oh my lord. Almost 9 minutes in and they're up
Oke,
1,000.
datang.
There's a
Tapi
Thunder
udah
Bell
kelihatan
already
sama
for
Kirk ya.
But other than that, he went for that typical chop suey build. So he's just really preparing himself to tank up majority of the damage. I feel like a range and armor will be also a potential next option for them, so they can be a lot more confident to take on Aurora in the succeeding fights. But they go for the setup first!
And there goes the setup. We're talking about Brusco. Very
Kelranya
hard to take it into Edward.
masih selamat
Can't
dong,
really
lama
join
kali
the
dia
fight
mengkayaknya.
anymore. With Infernal Pursuit, and now they are getting picked
Aduh,
off
skill
both
2-nya nggak
by
kena
both Jade to go
dong.
back
Bersih-bersih
first.
nih King Kong.
Low is gonna be Edward and Dominkite, so they can't really go hard.
Nggak mau
King
dia.
Kong is on the side waiting for them to make a move. And they are gonna have
Demon
to
kayaknya
disperse.
Hayabusanya lama
They
kali.
cut Renegade down for a bargain. They almost lost 2, but instead retreated at the right time and even forced out a revitalize from the Hitman.
And Super Prince doesn't care. He's like, I'm just gonna keep repositioning these Nightmaric spawns, or even the Dominator Descent itself. So when it was close enough to the turret, Yue was forced to walk away so he could keep himself safe, and now they're in control of the Lord.
Lord Dance initiated. Aurora thinking twice about it. Edward hiding back behind the fence brush. Kirk holding the Prixel. Renegade spots 2, forcing them out of that river brush. And again, just because of sheer numbers and
Yep.
the little Johnnies, our good friend Trex likes to call them little Johnnies, they're able to win parts of the map back.
Oh yeah, but there is no flicker available for Brusco, so that's Aurora probably taking advantage of that. in order to take control of this area, but Brusco still will try to scout them either
Yeah.
way.
That split push.
Brusco's on the side. There's also a push happening on the
Kena
bottom.
dong.
There you
Cownya.
go. He's looking for Demon Kite actually, and he actually gets taken out.
Di red
That's
tree
gonna
dong
be
itu
retribution
apanya,
removed from
Jackson.
Aurora. Make that 2 members going down as well, and now it's a disaster. Everything's falling apart for the Northern Lights in this game.
Dominkite, the lone survivor of Onyx Onslaught.
And Brusco didn't need the flicker.
Brusco
He
nggak
just walked
keliat.
towards King or Demon
Nggak
Kite,
kelihatan
who
tadi.
unfortunately got knocked
Nggak
up
dicek
by the
rumputnya,
Lord,
Bang.
and it wasn't an immediate response either way. He waited for a few moments, and it was
Masa iya orang
sort
itu
of an
nggak
angle
ngeh
kick, which
cowoknya
we
nggak
only
kelihatan?
see in the instant
Lihat itu.
replay, but nonetheless, just the mere fact that they were able to hold down Demon Kite for a
Cowoknya
moment.
nggak
There's
kelihatan
that
ya.
immediate burst damage coming in from Kellera already and King Kong.
And Kirk, not to mention how this was poetry in motion. An
Yeah.
orchestra of violence that the Super Fam waited so long. They waited 2 games. I'm thinking that was the wind-up. Game 4, the reason why they were so scared to just fight is because they were waiting to unleash something like that.
Yeah, that was basically 3 or 4 projectiles
Yeah.
thrown to Demon Kite while he was in midair. So,
Wait,
Good
he's
luck.
been in midair for a while. He got knocked up by the Lord and then the way of the dragon.
King Kong 1v1 kill up top.
Dipredik loh
Wow, how did that even
kebayangannya.
That was insane, and now it's just going to
Gokil.
make the defense even a little bit more troublesome. Luckily for Aurora, though, no major objective on the map.
Is it just me or am I smelling a wee bit of impatience? A little sense of urgency gone awry for Aurora. We're out of our breath. We're not in control. What do we do? And then they just they send resources where they shouldn't be.
Now Super Prince picked up the clock. He's a lot more tankier. But
Eh,
Renegade-
King Kongnya masuk loh.
Really tankier. King Kong is in the middle there. He's distracting 3 members of Aurora, actually getting the kill for Demon Kite as well, or Domin Kite rather. And now they're going to have
Tapi
to
setidaknya
use
dapatnya
Roach
Granger
as the
loh.
tower on the bottom will fall.
King for Renegade and Dominkite. I'll take that trade any day, twice on Thursdays.
They have a wave still incoming
Still have
in
a
the
wave.
mid lane. Brusco 2 has the flicker.
No fear with the Dominator's Descent. That's going to be the ultimate from Disaster, removed from the map, as well as its owner, Yue, and Demon Kite and
Langsung
Edward
end
are
kah?
going to be left on his own. I don't think that they're going to stand a chance here, and they're going to focus it down. Edward trying to keep
Oh,
them,
belum,
trying to
belum,
push
belum,
him
belum,
down.
belum, belum.
Oh my
Hilang
goodness,
dong.
it's a double, and that's a wipeout for Onyx Philippines. Rora's running in.
They're taking no prisoners. King Kong just
Masih
respawned in the nick of
bisa,
time, but
bos.
Technically, that was a wipeout.
Why do we keep saying throwback
Harusnya masih bisa
Thursday?
jebol itu
This
satu
is
lagi.
a different version of what we saw the last
Kenapa
time
nggak
these
dipaksa
two
sih?
teams met. It's the complete opposite. And ever Aurora are able to successfully pull this off, but the timers are still low. It's a very similar scenario to what happened in the previous games. Onyx can still get back in this.
Could have sworn Rockart thought it was over. Aurora just know how to defend.
They do.
So mentally, you just take care of the waves, make sure no minions stand within range of your base, and you're fine.
But could have been probably
Mari
better
kita
if
lihat.
King Kong decided not to just dive towards the backlines earlier.
And just smack the base.
And right on front, yeah.
Yeah, we were just saying that. Do we sense some sort of impatience from Aurora? But it feels like Onyx too. They showed some bits of that.
That's the major what if this series
Ada
presents
cung,
to
nggak ada
us.
yang pakai purify
Lord
itu.
Dance imminent. Demon Kite,
Ada
Domin
krik
Kite,
lagi.
just waited
Edit.
away. Lord approaching half health.
Dari belakang
Check
itu linknya
the map
bang.
near Aurora. Feel it out. Where is King Kong gonna come from? Demon Kite is very vulnerable.
Serot.
Doming, but there was
Dapat
one
linknya dong.
It's King Kong with a Lord Steel, and they're going out with hands held high. Brusco got caught though. He tripped a little bit. I think that's enough. Onyx very, very happy with that.
That was the perfect timing that King Kong was
Yeah.
building up to all series long. He failed in game 4, but not here, not now.
And prior that, he forced out the flicker from Edward. So now they don't have it in the hands of the Phobias, but they were able to successfully take care of the Lord. And that's all what matters to Aurora at this point.
Took just a little bit too long to take it down. Bought enough time for King Kong to get in position.
Boy, there's a
Mari
conceal.
kita lihat.
Suddenly, Aurora back on the
Nggak ada
offensive.
sih
What
yang
are
di
they
situ.
looking for here?
Who are they
Renegade
looking
leading the
for?
way, jumps the wall. Both teams are not in any shape to force this. I'd reckon it's either someone folds, and then we end here or wait for another Lord.
Yeah, Brusco felt the damage of Yue earlier, though. He already picked up the Divine Glaive and the Holy Crystal. And as much as Brusco does have the Athena's shield, he receives majority of the damage that Yue actually throws out. And when it's well positioned and when it isn't the first target, which is happening off
Tapi untuk
off
gold
the
naman
bat,
si King Kong mga
that's gonna be a
14,000
problem in the
jauh
long run
bos.
for Onyx Philippines.
Something I'm thinking here is how Aurora's actually dealing with the waves. They're very conservative about picking fights now. Remember that 1v1 kill
Yeah.
by by King Kong on Demon Kite up top? Expect that Aurora's never going to do that ever again.
Feels like a one-off at this point,
Yeah,
right?
they're only ever going to send Edward and Renegade alone. And a little thing that Renegade does well here is I love that he picked up the Molten Essence. He's going to need that to bump into waves and clear fast.
Yeah.
Because already, I'm telling you now, even with the flubs that Onyx fell into the past 2 or 3 minutes, they're still at least winning the map.
Yeah. And at least for them, they're the ones who can do it first. Now that they're in the lead, now that they have better map control, and King Kong, he just has such high mobility that
16
even if there's a
menit.
threat of a backshot immediately rolling, and
Harusnya ini gol udah nggak masalah lagi bang ya.
not the same. This time there are a lot more ways to escape from Aurora.
Karena perbedaannya
Yeah, as
nggak
long as King
nyampe
Kong has
seribu
that
sih.
purple buff, that's he can do whatever he wants at this point. That's why it's so crucial.
That's half the battle.
Yeah.
Securing the
Tapi
purple
Chungnya
is
dari
half
tadi
the
on
battle.
point loh.
Oh!
Alah.
Brusco!
They spot him out. That's going to conceal, used up already for Onyx. And that might be a pretty big resource, especially with Lord coming up in 20 seconds.
Again, even with all the mid lane turrets out, they find a way to force the Dominator's descent.
Yep. So, what do you get? What would you rather have? Dominator's Descent or Conceal? I'm thinking Aurora walked away with a bargain there. I think this is a safe go. And that's going to come off a cooldown. Onyx is just going to blitz it. Oh, Lord, they're blitzing it.
They
They're
are blitzing it. We don't need
Mari
concealment.
kita lihat.
It's right here in their faces. Edward going to be pushed back a little bit.
Oh ini
with
jauh kali tadi
Zushin.
ulurnya loh.
Again, they're waiting for someone to make a move. Who's it gonna be? Brusco is on the right side. Doesn't have conceal, but he might have it up very, very soon. Might boil down to a 50-50.
Waduh,
on the
jelek kali
run here.
minionnya.
By the way, these are enhanced minions in the mid and the bottom lane.
Oh no. They're gonna have to take care of that.
Big boys and carts. And the wave should take care of
Linknya.
itself. But do note, this is the first
Kejauhan
time
nggak sih link itu?
in a while that a Lord Dance happens.
Yeah.
That Aurora knows exactly where King Kong is. That, see, he makes himself visible here. Oh, pushing up top.
Have Renegade getting knocked up non-stop here, forcing to use the Revitalize, but he's not going to be healthy enough to actually tank any hits here. Will be forced to maybe back off and regen for now.
All right, Lord evolves. King Kong secures his purple. Demon Kite just saying, hey, Dominic, take my purple. This is your go now.
Waduh sempat kayak ini.
What's Dominic Kite to do here?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're still going on.
Okay.
Still going to DK. All right.
Keeping their distance. Kite Brothers together. And the Dominator's Descent is already available again
Yeah.
for Yue. So Aurora was successfully able to buy enough time. But that doesn't prevent Onyx Philippines from potentially setting things up. The flickers are all available, be it for Kirk or be it
Hey,
for
Renjaya.
On the back, he's trying to do a pincer maneuver here, but will be spotted out. Onyx up on front.
King
He's gonna get
Kongnya
knocked
nunggu
up
loh.
non-stop here. Popping up on the
Kena
Immortality.
tendang itu.
Got good catch here on the Brusco, but I think they bought just enough time. That's two numbers going down for Aurora, Renegade, Doming, and now they're getting chased down by the rest of Onyx Philippines.
Gokil.
That is gonna be it.
Brusco-nya selalu bang.
Wipeout in
Tendangannya
Onyx
selalu on
for
point loh.
the win.
Nendang siapa?
The Super Family is going
Gokil,
to the
gokil,
upper
Hayabusanya.
bracket.